Mm-hmm. Well, hope everyone's having a wonderful week. Happy Friday. We realize it's Friday evening. We greatly appreciate your time. Just to confirm, can you all see my screen? Excellent, thank you. And the audio sounds good? Okay, very good. Let me know if you hear feedback at all when you do speak up. I can put my headphones in. Sometimes that's an issue, but just let me know. Looks like we got a few more folks logging in, so we'll give probably the next minute or so, minute or two for others to hop on. Excellent. Well, we've hit the 5 o'clock mark, so we can go ahead and get started. I just want to welcome everyone and thank you all for attending. We're really glad you could join us, and we're thankful that you can share part of your Friday with us. My name is Sarah Kovacic. I am a planner with IMBA Trail Solutions. IMBA is the International Mountain Bicycling Association, and I work within the nonprofit with Trail Solutions. And Trail Solutions is the program inside of IMBA that provides trail consulting. We work on trail projects throughout the nation, and we've been assisting the City of Farmington during the last couple of months with developing the preliminary vision for a future bike park. So while we're still in the very, very early stages of planning, we're hosting this presentation to share our progress completed so far and hear your thoughts on the plan. This webinar is planned for an hour with about 30 to 40 minutes of presentation, followed by a question and answer session. Then at the end of this presentation, there will be a survey sent out to you all in a Google form. A link will pop up at the end of the presentation. So you can feel free to click on it and do the survey then, or there will be a link sent to you in an email and you can do it at your convenience. Just a few housekeeping items. I see most of you are muted. Thank you for that. That'll keep the audio clear. We just ask that you do stay muted, but to be ready to unmute yourself when the time comes for questions. As questions do come up, please jot them down or add them to the chat window. You'll see where you can access the chat window by going to those 3 dots and then clicking on chat. So as questions come up, please feel free to put them there or just jot them down. This webinar is recorded, and a link to the recording will be made available in a few days. At the end of this evening's meeting, you will see that link to the survey, and we plan to keep that open until the week of October 27th. So it'll be open for about a week, week and a half. All right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Sarah Kovacic. I am a registered landscape architect, and I've been with IMBA for a couple years now. I did the initial site visit with my colleague Chris Orr over here, and we assist with trail planning and trail assessments throughout the country. I am based in Champaign, Illinois. I'm originally from South Florida, and I do quite a bit of traveling around the country for these new types of projects. I don't believe Chris is on the call. He is, I think, building a pump track today, so he is busy out in the field. He has been an advocate for probably about 20 years in California. He has built trails, assessed trails, and designed new trail systems. Again, he did the initial site work with me and has provided excellent feedback throughout the project. Tim is joining us on this call today, and he is from Colorado. I'm going to let him go ahead and provide his introduction.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today on Friday. My name is Tim Hallbakken with Trail Solutions IMBA. I'm a planner and designer. I've sort of been hanging out in the background a little bit on this project, assisting in some of the small details and reviewing the progress to date. Really excited with the plan that Chris and Sarah and the IMBA team, Trail Solutions team, has come up with. And I can't wait to hear the feedback from the stakeholder engagement meeting here today. I personally have a lot of experience in the municipal bicycle park area. I have a 13-year-old son, and starting at age 3, we started frequenting municipal bike parks in the western states, and I've visited countless bicycle parks, and with my background being in landscape architecture and land planning, I've had the chance to really analyze, take notes, critique these bike parks, and I really can't wait to get into the detailed design in Farmington. My role moving forward will be to really jump in and assist with the next phase, the more detailed phase of design. At that, I've seen the presentation. I'm excited for all of you to view it, and I will now pass it back to Sarah. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, we're looking forward to getting all your advice and feedback as we move into design development plans and kind of next steps for the project. So this evening's presentation is broken up into 2 different parts. During the first part, we will be going over the types of trail infrastructure and bike park amenities that will be included in this plan. And then in the second half, we will focus on the specifics of the site, starting with an overview of the site opportunities and constraints, followed by the concept plan and some ideas for phasing. So beginning, what are natural surface trails? Natural surface trails are, of course, a valuable recreational amenity for millions of Americans who enjoy them for hiking, biking, running, horseback riding, viewing nature, and/or dog walking. These trails are made by clearing and grading the native soil with no added surface material. So they are, again, separate from paved trails. As shown in these pictures, natural surface trails provide trail users with a place to explore and enjoy the outdoors and nature, providing relaxation and a time to unwind. Shared use natural surface trails provide access to the outdoors to a variety of users, and they will be an essential part of this trails and bike park plan. As shown in these photos, enjoying trails can, of course, be both a group activity or an individual pursuit. On the next slide, we'll take a few minutes to go over trail experiences and who enjoys trails. As was mentioned earlier, of course, trails immense visitors in nature and serve a wide range of recreational interests. On trails, you'll see a broad spectrum of users ranging from on-foot users like the runners and dog walkers, birders, hikers here, to those on wheel devices like mountain bikes. Some users are looking for quick walks, or on the other hand, they might want long distance excursions. During the concept planning process, our team recognized the different users who are anticipated on these trails and the concept plan seeks to provide the experiences that each of these users are going to be looking for. The trails as part of this plan are meant to be accessible to all members of the Farmington community, including those who might have different abilities or face a disability. They, on the photo that's shown on the bottom right, some users do use adaptive mountain bikes that are designed with modifications to allow riders of different abilities to enjoy trails. Now moving into mountain biking, mountain bikers do enjoy trails for many of the same reasons that other trail users do, whether it's enjoying family time or getting outdoors. Unique to mountain bikers is an interest in progression or an opportunity to continue improving skills and take on a new challenge, as is shown in the photo on the right. As enthusiast mountain bikers are often seeking this opportunity, the plan takes into account the desired user experience of progression and skill building as challenge and action in the trails. When designing a trail network, we commonly plan for both traditional style trails and mountain bike optimized trails. Traditional trails are shown here. These are just some examples. And these are meant to be shared use trails that serve a diversity of users, including walkers, hikers, runners, cyclists, and sometimes equestrians. As all user types are anticipated on these trails, the trail surface is kept clear of any obstacles such as jumps, rollers, or water bars, which may get in the way of some trail users enjoying the experience. As is shown in the photo to the right, the trail is constructed with a bench that creates a stable, long-lasting riding surface. When trails are constructed with proper grades, drainage techniques, and generally following the rolling contour design, the trails are built sustainably and reduce erosion. The grade and width of the trail is determined often by the trail difficulty level and intended user experience. As will be shown later on, the concept plan for the bike park includes about 4 miles of these traditional style trails that are meant to be shared use. Then moving on to trails that are specific to mountain bikers, these mountain bike optimized trails provide fun and engaging experiences that enhance the feeling of being on the bike. These types of trails provide an optimized experience by bringing in kind of these purpose-built features. Features may include rocky areas that provide a technical challenge, or bermed features, or smooth features such as berm turns like the ones shown in these pictures. Other features may include rollers or jumps that allow riders to smoothly turn or lift the bike to catch some air. As these features enhance the downhill experience for mountain bikers, these trails are typically managed as one direction and downhill only. So the single use designed experience for mountain bikers. These trails are very attractive to mountain bikers, from beginner to advanced riders, and will be included in part of this plan. And it is a planning technique to have both of these types of trails because they provide user experiences that trail users are looking for. And as trail users are drawn to the types of trails that match their desired experience, having both of these trail types helps spread users throughout the network, relieving congestion and potential user conflicts. Today, riders with disabilities are seeking more opportunities to explore and enjoy the outdoors. Planning for these users increases the diversity, equity, and inclusion of the trail network. Adaptive mountain bikes, like are shown here, are also known as AMTBs, are a specific off-road bike designed to support riders with varying disabilities. Trails suitable for adaptive mountain bikes typically require a wider trail bench and a turning radius to accommodate these longer and wider bikes. Multiple trail difficulties and styles, from traditional to mountain bike optimized trails, can both easily accommodate these AMTBs while not impacting the experience for other users. With this bike park plan, we are actively looking at opportunities for creating a AMTB compatible trails and features that offer high quality experience for visitors. Now moving into community bike parks, whereas single track trails often bring to mind a long route out in the backcountry away from home, a community bicycle park provides bike-specific amenities located typically in an urban or community park-like environment. Bike parks are usually located within communities and are easily accessible to residents. Bike park amenities include specialized trail types and amenities that engage riders, offering skill building opportunities while providing fun for riders of all ages and ability levels. These parks are often very popular among children and families who are looking to enjoy an activity together. This is an example of a community bike park in Fallon, Nevada, located within a residential neighborhood. When planning for bike parks, of course, the type and the scale of features will be dependent on what types of trails and bike park amenities already exist within the community, what the goals are of the project, the interests of the community, along with the site's opportunities and constraints. So there's a lot of different determining factors that do influence the final design and the selection of features. This photo is an aerial view of the Lakeside Bike Park in Buffalo Harbor, New York. On the right of the first photo, you can see a parking area that then leads to, if I can use my cursor, that then leads to some shade structures here and kind of a main entry. From there, users enter a variety of mountain bike optimized trails. You'll see there are these wooden features on the side and also some tunnels. Beyond that area, there is a pump track in the background. And surrounding the site, there are a variety of different types of trails from easy to advanced. So the components of a bike park. Many times bike parks will include a range of features that are targeted for specific user types and interests. For example, Taut tracks and bicycle playgrounds provide a space for children and families where parents can assist children on bikes in very slow speed, kind of managed environments. Many times these features are centered together and located closest to parking areas to provide easy access for families and for the parents to be able to easily keep an eye on the kids. Moving from the family-focused activities, bike parks commonly include features like pump tracks, skills trails, and jump lines that appeal to riders of all ages, ability levels, and riding interests. Then if the space and the terrain allow it on the site, many bike parks include traditional and bike optimized trails. With this mix of features, the bike park is a space where children, families, and riders of all levels can enjoy various types of riding and experiences in one space. And this photo demonstrates a concept plan for a bike park in New Orleans. And this shows just kind of the relationship of the elements with the beginner kind of kids play zone in orange that then moves out into the skills trails that are in the yellow zone. And then you've got a pump track kind of centralized in the middle of the space. Everything is easy to get to. It's easy for folks to travel in between features, and families can keep an eye on kids. And again, it's a facility where the family can come and the kids of all different ages can enjoy all the different features. So it's not just one kid enjoying the ball sports, you know, it's everybody out there enjoying the activity together. And then it's also great to have amenities like shade structures for folks who want to enjoy the group activity of going to the bike park, but maybe are not able to enjoy the features or choose not to. So it really creates kind of this family and community centric space. So now we're going to move into some of those specific bike park amenities that were mentioned on the previous slide. And we do have 2 videos that will be included in part of this section. So bicycle playgrounds incorporate play features such as the prefabricated features shown here. You see a wooden turn on the left and then a tunnel example on the right. This is an example of a bicycle playground in Bentonville, Arkansas. These features are meant to be engaging activities for children to practice skills and improve bike handling while having fun. They are meant to create a slow speed environment and a space where parents can easily assist and keep an eye on children. The bicycle playground can range in size and configuration to best fit the site and the desired features. Many times bicycle playgrounds are best suited where the terrain has gentle, almost on the side of flat slopes to place these features. This is an aerial view of the bike playground that was just shown on the last slide. You can see it is a short looped trail with a range of features from wooden and concrete bridges, these traffic cones that are meant to be obstacles, and some tunnels. So they provide a mix of features that are fun for kids to experience. And you can see a prefabricated pump track is shown in the middle of the site. So now we have a short video from the city of Bentonville. Let's see. And this just shows the bicycle playground in action and kind of goes through the purpose of the facility and what it brings to their community.
This is just the perfect gateway, if you will, for our urban trail system. You know, we have 40 miles of trails in town, and in the region we have more than 100 miles of trails. But this is the right intro, if you will, for the youngsters to come out and learn the basic skills of mountain biking, and not just mountain biking, just biking in general, and getting kids away from the TV and away from the video games and on doing something constructive and physical fitness wise. But back to the community side, it really introduces those children to the hundreds of miles of mountain bike trails that we have in our region. It's the perfect fit for our community and in this location.
That kind of brought it to life for you, and it's just a great illustration just to show that you've got a facility where kids can use it really on any bike, from a balance bike to kids that are looking for some challenging features. Then moving on to pump tracks and Taut tracks. Pump tracks are typically a closed circuit track made up of a series of rollers and berm turns. They can either be made of natural surface materials or paved, as is shown in these pictures here. Through a pumping motion, riders glide through wide bank turns or smoothly pump through rollers and dips in the track. Pump tracks are great features to allow riders to build bike handling skills while providing an environment to also practice jumping. Taut tracks are essentially smaller versions of pump tracks with very shallow rollers that allow children on balance bikes to practice in a slow speed environment. Many times pump tracks are a spark point for visitors to discover biking and mountain biking through these types of engaging and fun activities. When they are paved, the pump track can be used by users on any type of wheel device, which increases the accessibility of the feature. While additionally, paved pump tracks require less maintenance than tracks made of natural surfacing. Tracks made of a natural surface, usually clay-based soil type, require regular inspection, shaping, and adjusting of features to ensure a consistent and smooth riding surface, which of course can add up to significant time and labor. As riders and families will spend significant amounts of time that these types of features, it is recommended that suitable seating and shade structures be installed for users to rest in between riding sessions. And moving on to skills trails. Skills trails incorporate a variety of features along the trails meant to allow riders to build their bike handling and balance skills. These skills trails are often associated with more developed parks or facilities like bike parks versus a natural setting where a single track is more appropriate. This type of trail is designed at a specific difficulty level from easy to most difficult. So usually we use the ranking system from green to black. So green being easier to more difficult, maybe being black advanced trails. With this range of difficulty, it allows the park users to pick the type of trail that fits their ability level and gradually progress their skills with repetition and experience over time. These pictures demonstrate a variety of skills features, starting with a very easy rock section in the first picture, a wooden boardwalk in the middle, and a skinny wooden feature on the right. Typically, installed features will include a mix of prefabricated structures that are pre-engineered and also those that may be built on site with locally sourced materials. So then moving on to kind of some more advanced trails or progressive in types of infrastructure, riders looking to practice jump skills in a purpose-built environment enjoy progressive dirt jumps. In a progressive jump area, the lines consist of beginner to advanced options that are meant to allow riders to gradually build jumping skills along with the proper timing and form necessary for these types of trails. The first photo demonstrates a series of jump lines from easy on the right to more difficult as you move to the left. Again, these are, in these pictures shown here, these are pretty expansive and large scale jump lines. What we're envisioning for the bike park would be kind of on a smaller scale, but these pictures do demonstrate that you have this progression from beginner up to advanced. Jump lines may be constructed with a mix of dirt jumps, berms, and prefabricated slope style features. These features allow mountain bikers and BMX riders of all ability levels to practice their skills and expand their riding abilities. As shown in the right, there are some options to include prefabricated features to reduce maintenance. So these wooden lips on the photo to the right do kind of help maintain that consistent takeoff surface and are very low maintenance. Then moving to our last feature that we're going to describe and include in part of the bike park are the slope style and the free ride trails. These types of trails include a variety of features that could be rollers and berms of natural soil built up, kind of like in these photos on the left, to more features that include prefabricated structures. You'll see on these far right pictures, these two, they represent wall rides, and then there's a whale tail feature shown in the middle, bottom middle picture. These trail types are very popular among skilled and enthusiast mountain bikers who are looking for new and engaging experiences. These types of trails are important to provide as existing riders are often looking for new skill building and progressive challenges. And they do kind of make for a destination for the community. Now we've got an example of a world-class bike park in Valmont. It's in Colorado. And this demonstrates a pump track and some skills trails.
The Valmont Bike Park, the beauty of it is that we see all kinds of riders. We see kids, we see experts, we see folks on cyclocross bikes coming down the flow trails, very boulder. And the cool thing is whatever you want to take on, whatever skill level you're at, there's a place for you to start. And if you need to start small, you can start small. If you want to go big, you can go big. There's something for everybody. We have a skills trail here that is a great example of providing a progressive environment to learn in. There's big rockovers and there's little skinnies and everything in between. And whatever skill level you're at, you have an opportunity to get better, to progress.
So hopefully that kind of brought it to life of what it would feel like in a kind of what the bike park would feel like in this park-like environment with these features that just kind of naturally blend into the landscape. There was a great example of the father here helping his son on the bike as he looks down like, oh, I'm not going down there. So just overall like a great amenity for all different types of riders. This last slide of this first part is meant to just provide a quick summary of kind of the breadth and the spectrum of mountain biking. Mountain biking, of course, does include those natural surface trail experiences, but there are so many other types of experiences that folks can enjoy with these different types of features, from the Taut tracks, bicycle playgrounds, and skills trails, among the other features. So now we're going to jump into the concept planning process for the Juniper Basin Bike Park. I do apologize, I didn't mention the name at the beginning of the presentation. Now we're going to go into the process of planning. So before starting the concept plan, previous planning efforts performed for Farmington were referenced to understand the types of existing recreational infrastructure and what types of amenities residents are currently looking for. In the 2014 Park Recreation and Cultural Affairs Master Plan, there was a needs assessment that was performed, and it asked residents what are the types of amenities that they are using and what kind of features would they like to see more of. So this data was really helpful for us to get an understanding of what types of recreational amenities folks are looking for and what the current demand is. So from that data, 78% of households reported using unpaved trails at least once a year. So that is a pretty significant portion of the community using these types of facilities. Unpaved trails were ranked among the top 3 outdoor activities to be expanded, to be added, expanded, or improved upon. So those, when asked to pick between all these different types of features, natural surface trails were among the top 3. And then when residents were asked to pick what were the top 3 priorities to pursue in the next 5 to 10 years, they ranked trails and trails connectivity between systems as one of the top priorities. Before starting the planning work, we created a survey to capture information about current riding interests of residents and what types of trails are missing in the area. This question shown here asks residents, where do you most enjoy riding? Nearly 86% noted that natural surface single track trails were their preferred trail type, followed by bike park amenities and gravel or surface pathways. Along with that 2014 Parks Master Plan, this demonstrates the significant use and interest in natural surface trails. Survey respondents were then asked what kinds of mountain bike optimized experiences are needed in the Farmington metro area. The top 3 bike experience included single track trails, gravity or flow trails, and skills development features. The bicycle playground, progressive jumps, and a pump track were the next highly ranked. One respondent noted access for all abilities, which is an important component to this visioning process, so that all residents can enjoy the park. There was also some interest for mountain bike skills training, which could be some programming options for the future. Survey respondents were asked which of these amenities would be the top priority for them, and then were asked to pick among the options that are shown to the right. Respondents ranked single track and flow trails as that top amenities we saw previously. This, of course, demonstrates that continued interest in trails that are close to home and easy to get to. And as was demonstrated with the previous question, bicycle playgrounds and skills development trails were also priorities for respondents. And those are shown in the light and the kind of that dark yellow and that orange. Moving to the next question, respondents were asked for their second highest priority. We start to see a spread here among trails and bike park amenities, with jump lines coming to the front as a second tier priority that's shown in the green here. We took these rankings into serious consideration when selecting the types of bike park features and then the proposed phasing for the park. When developing bike parks, amenities such as parking, bathrooms, and shade structures provide visitors with comfortable accommodations to support their visit. As many users and families may drive to the park, parking will be necessary as a feature. As many users and families may drive to the park, parking will be necessary. And it was among one of the highest ranked features that respondents requested in the survey. Other important amenities to respondents included bathrooms, shade structures, and water for drinking or washing bikes. When planning the main entrance and bike park area, we took these prioritized amenities into account to decide which features to include in that main entry in the plan. Lastly, we asked respondents what types of amenities, what types of programming would attract you and your family to the bike park. Respondents ranked skills courses, also known as skills clinics, for adults and group rides among the highest programming options. Skills courses for kids and weekend, after school, or summer camp programs were the next in the ranking. Overall, this data and the free responses provided by residents, we see a significant interest in skills progression and bike amenities that will allow riders to gradually build skills. And having the skills training is a great way to introduce new riders to the sport and make it accessible to more residents. So now we'll get into the project site. The proposed site for the bike park is a nearly 100-acre site at the intersection of Foothills Drive and Hood Mesa Trail. Part of the park is located on a 13-acre piece of land at the top of the mesa and then drops down into the 80 acres. The site is bordered by the Bureau of Land Management land to the east and north. At the northwest corner of the site, the rigor mortis trail of the Kinsey Trail Network is immediately adjacent to the project site. The existing natural surface trails are shown in the light brown in this map. During the fieldwork, many users were observed riding the trails, with some mountain bikers riding up Foothills Drive to the trailhead. As the site is located between the BLM trails and Lake Farmington, it is well positioned to act as a connecting link between these two recreational areas. As a few minutes drive from many parts of Farmington, the site is close to home and accessible to many of the area's residents. The landscape features, so we performed the site visit in June of this year, and overall we saw excellent terrain for trails that feature rolling undulation, very gentle rolling undulations with mostly a juniper landscape. Small ridges, undulating terrain, and the occasional royals on site do kind of combine to create that interesting landscape for trails. For the most part, the site has gentle grades from 10 to 40% side slopes that do support a wide range of trail types. And then the 13-acre part of the site at the top of the mesa does feature the gentlest slopes, which are highly suitable for bike park amenities that need that very gently sloping terrain. This part of the site is also very easily accessible to residents. And the site is crisscrossed by a few utility access roads that lead to the water tower and oil and gas sites. These roads and utility crossings were taken into account during the planning process to limit the amount of road crossings. So these photos are just representative of some of those rolling undulations and then one of those road examples. The overall impression from the site visit was that the site does offer great opportunities for both trails and bike park amenities. After taking into account the community feedback and discussing the project intentions with the City of Farmington, our team developed these goals to drive the vision and the decision-making for the park. Overall, the project seeks to create a community-focused park that offers fun and engaging recreational amenities for residents of all ages and ability levels. When planning for the trails and bike amenities, we were intentionally looking where and how to incorporate these features where the landscape has the most opportunity, and these features can be created with the least amount of impact to the landscape. Adding high-quality single track for a wide range of trail users and incorporating new mountain bike optimized trails are top goals, as these trail experiences were highly ranked among survey respondents and were noted as priorities in the last park master plan. Secondly, the project will introduce bike park features that we looked at previously that include a Taut track, pump track, jump lines, and skills development trails, which offer fun and engaging bike amenities for riders of all interests while allowing them to gradually build skills. So taking into account the information we gathered during the site assessment and goals of the project, we created various experience zones to guide future planning. So this graphic represents different zones shown in various colors, and then what types of landscapes were observed in each zone and what types of trail experiences, whether they're shared use or mountain bike specific for each zone. Again, the top of the mesa was identified as the most suitable area for many of those bike park features, especially the kid and family focused amenities. And this is a very easily accessible area. So you see that zone shown in orange with, again, the picture of those very gently sloping grades. The main entrance and parking zone is shown in pink adjacent to Foothills Drive. This area is already impacted by a crisscross network of informal roads and would be easily accessed for construction and for folks coming into the site. Moving from the top of the mesa and going into the basin, there's great gentle terrain for beginner trail network that is shown in green. A preliminary loop trail network is shown by the green lines with the white dots on top. Overall, this zone is meant as an area where beginners can feel invited to the trail network while providing trails to warm up on before heading out to the more difficult trails. To the right of the zone is a light blue area that starts to introduce more difficult trails. In both of these zones, trails here are meant to be shared use among hikers, runners, and mountain bikers. In the slightly darker green zone, there's open terrain with gentle undulations to provide a beginner level mountain bike optimized or flow trail. Let's see, I point out that area here. Let's see. The darker blue area demonstrates where we observed slightly steeper slopes and larger undulations that lend themselves well to creating more difficult or blue bike optimized trails. So you see those zones shown both here and then up to the north. Then moving up to the furthest north part of the site, there is really gentle and open terrain for a progressive jump line. As riders are progressing through the blue bike optimized trails in the adjacent zone, they are anticipated to be looking for more opportunities to practice jumping. Moving to the final zone in the dark gray, the advanced slope style trails are located where the terrain is the steepest and has the most variation, creating highly suitable conditions for trails with jumps, drops, and other features. And in that area, we did see a few user-created lines where they've been traveling from the existing trail straight down the ridge. So we do see already kind of a user need or interest in trails that are advanced. Then that the terrain there already kind of lends itself for that experience. So with this graph, you can kind of see this gradual movement from the beginner features of the entrance to then more advanced features as you move north. And that helps users warm up, and it's a great risk management technique. So this is the concept plan that then, after we looked at those landscape opportunities and the different zones, we started moving into conceptual trail alignments. So this plan illustrates different trails and trail types and experience levels. And you'll see the bike park amenities are clustered at the main entrance. If I point out to that in this photo shown here. We will zoom in on an enlargement in the next couple of slides. But as you can see, the area includes a kids play area with a Taut track, bicycle playground, and adventure playground, along with a beginner and intermediate skills trail. There is also a nearly half-mile loop that will be great for dog walking or just a quick walk around the park. The trail types are shown in different colors to demonstrate the difficulty level. You see the green trails are grouped together on the southern part of the site. And then as you move to the north, there are more difficult blue trails. The light green trails are shared use traditional style trails. So those will be accessible by all types of users. And as you can see, there are various loop options. There's probably about 3 different loop options that you can create with these trails. Then as you move north, there's an additional loop there. And these trails are meant to provide a perimeter trail around the network that is shared use and then does connect to different segments to provide different loop options. The downhill trails are designed to maximize the amount of elevation available on site for a long distance downhill experience. So those trails specific for mountain bikes are shown in the darker colors. So you'll see this dark blue segment here, starting from the trailhead going down, following the terrain of the site, then connecting to this green mountain bike optimized trail, which then connects to these other more difficult trails to the north. So these trails are bent so mountain bikers can get onto the types of experiences they're looking for, while the other users are enjoying the shared use trails. So it's an effective way to spread users throughout the trail network and provide them with the experiences they're looking for. And then also at the north, you do see that progressive jump line area in the very gentle slopes. And this site is well positioned also that there are no homes at this edge here, and there is a ridge here that kind of blocks the view. So it is kind of nestled away from many of the homes. And then you do see those slope style trails here that take advantage of that undulating terrain. And there is a proposed connection up to the Kinsey Trail Network. So overall, the site provides many different experiences for users of all different ability levels and riding or just trail interests. And some of those different experiences that you can expect to see on the trail are shown in those photos to the right. So then to gradually implement the plan, a 3-phase approach is proposed. Phase 1 would include the main bike park features and 1 mile of trail. This phase introduces new types of features currently not available in the community and allows residents to discover all the different styles and types of biking. The mile of trail is anticipated to be a short loop that again is going to be great for walking, dog walking, running, or a quick hike. Phase 2 includes 3.8 miles of trails that are both beginner and intermediate level. This phase introduces a system of looped shared use trails with a few single-use mountain bike trails. This helps spread users through the trail network and provide the experiences they are seeking. Phase 3 includes the remaining trails and bike park amenities, including 3.6 miles of blue and black level trails, along with that progressive jump line area. With the easier trails in place in the earlier phases, the community has been introduced to different styles of riding, and they've been building skills for these progressively more difficult trails. And then on this map, this shows some future connections and bike routes. So we did see riders taking the road in order to get to the trail network. So we just have a recommended bike access route here that could be a bike lane or maybe signage. And then there's also excellent opportunity to connect this trail system to Lake Farmington. So there could be an extension to the east to make that connection. Again, the site is really well positioned in between these two recreational areas. So this does allow users to travel between those spaces more easily. So this is an enlargement of, again, that main entry area and would be phase 1. So phase 1 includes most of those bike park amenities, including the bicycle playground shown in the orange zone, along with the pump track that's shown in yellow. An adventure playground is shown in magenta and is envisioned with a mix of nature-based play structures like logs and climbing areas. Pavilions and shade structures are provided adjacent to these zones for riders to rest and for park users to enjoy a picnic or time together. A main entry space with shade sails, a restroom, and signage introduces users to the park and provides amenities for a comfortable stay. That's shown in that brown zone with the shade sails. Phase 1 also includes 2 quarter-mile skills trails that are shown in the green and blue lines with the white dots. So you'll see those alignments there with a couple of skills features on the side. These offer both beginner and intermediate trails to offer riders options to choose the difficulty level based upon their skill level. Around the perimeter of the bike park, a nearly half-mile loop is provided that will serve beginner riders, walkers, runners, and dog walkers. As the site features an expansive view of the basin below and mountains beyond, an overlook is planned for visitors to enjoy the view. So you see that feature shown there. Next slide. So we kind of already went through the trail network some, but I'll just go through a summary of phase 2. Phase 2 is shown in this enlargement and starts to introduce longer trail loops along with trails of different difficulty levels. Easy trails are shown in light and dark green, followed by more difficult, kind of more intermediate level trails shown in the light and the dark blue. Both traditional and mountain bike optimized trails are proposed in this phase. Shared use easy trails are shown in the light green and create 2 beginner level loops in the lower half of this area. So you see, if I get my pointer on the right screen, so you'll see this lower loop here, and then moving on to this mid-level loop. Then if you add on these light blue, kind of more intermediate narrow trails, you do have a 3rd loop. So these shared use trails do combine to offer many different loop opportunities. The dark green trail with the directional arrows is an easier mountain bike optimized trails that provides an introductory experience to single-use directional trails. And then beginning at the trailhead and parking area, there is a dark blue trail with directional arrows that allows enthusiast riders to access the trail network immediately from the entrance and continue their descent by connecting with the green mountain bike optimized trail. So you see that segment starting here, coming through the landscape, following the contour, and then connecting to that next segment. So overall in phase 2, there are 3.8 miles of trails proposed. Then moving on to the 3rd phase, which would be the final phase. Phase 3 introduces progressively more difficult trails and incorporates new trail types and features. A perimeter shared use trail is shown in the light blue and creates that upper loop. And it surrounds 2 single-use downhill trails specific for mountain bikes. These 2 mountain bike optimized trails gradually descend through the undulating terrain and can easily be sessioned or repeated by climbing back up the shared use trails. So you see where, hold on. So one would start here, travel through the landscape, and then very gradually climb back up and can be sessioned. Same with this trail here. It has an even shorter return. And again, these are features that mountain bikers greatly enjoy. And the landscape here is really opportunistic with these gentle undulations to just fit these trails into the landscape. Then moving over to the left, you see that progressive jump line that's shown in the dark orange. Again, this provides an area where riders can gradually build skills for jumping. Then moving to the west, these black trails are slope style trails that provide that experience for advanced riders who are looking for new features and challenges. And lastly, this segment 307 provides a connection between the perimeter shared use trail and the existing Kinsey trail network. As signs of motorcycle use were observed on and around the site, perimeter fencing is proposed to keep motos from accessing the bike park and the trail network. Pedestrian gates or chicanes are shown on this plan to allow access by on-foot users and bikers, but restrict access by by motorized vehicles. Gates are shown to allow vehicular access that is limited to staff accessing the site for maintenance and those from the oil and gas companies traveling through the site to get to their lines and drilling sites. Example pedestrian and swing gates are shown to the right. Let's see where my cursor goes. So that concludes the overview of the vision and the concept plan. Our next step will be gathering comments and feedback from you all and then bringing in those comments to refine the plan. From there, our team will create design development plans that provide the documents that will be ready to procure a professional bike park and trail builder. It is at the stage that the type and the placement of features is decided and will be shown on the plan set. From there, phase 1 is currently planned as the first part of implementation with a timeline beginning potentially as early as 2022, maybe moving into 2023. We greatly appreciate all your attention and time. Before we do move into the question and answer, we do have a quick poll that we would like to send out to you all. Let's see. So I'm going to activate a poll right now. It's going to ask you what elements of the park do you envision you and your family using the most, and you may pick more than one. So don't feel like you only have to pick one. You can pick multiple ones that you see yourself or your family using the most. So we'll keep this open for a couple moments, and then we'll close it. Let's see. Looks like we got almost half. All right, we got 3/4. So we got the options are the kids play elements, single track trails, pump track, progressive jump line, or slope style trails. So it looks like we got most participated. And we'll end the poll and share the results. So it looks like, yep, kind of similar to some of those previous surveys. We see the single track trails, both the shared use and traditional, being that the highest ranked amenity, almost at 90%, then followed by the kids play elements. And then there's kind of, oh, and then also slope style trails. So do kind of see an interest here, probably from the enthusiast mountain bikers looking for something fresh and innovative. And then we see kind of lower ranking with the pump track and the progressive jump lines. So interesting. Yeah. Thank you for participating. And now it is open for Q&A. I want to open up the floor to anyone here who has questions, and we will also take a look at the chat to see if we have any comments or questions so far. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
I'll ask the first question if you don't mind. I'm a single track user. I know that there are 3 parks either in development or already developed in this area of Farmington. Have you looked at any of those, and how is this different?
We've been to the existing trail network. So we've been to Kinsey, we've been to the trails at the college. As we understand, this bike park is unique in the sense that it's going to be these bike park amenities that are meant for kids and families. And also this is a site that is close to home. So I do not know of those specific projects that you're thinking of, but if you could share their names, it'd be great to just kind of confirm that we're up to speed on everything that's going on.
Anasazi and the BLM at the end of, what's the name of the road?
There's the college that you mentioned. There's some pump tracks and new trail amenities at the Anasazi Trail. And then I'm trying to get the name of the street where the BLM is just developing a bike park about a 1/4 mile from this location.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is very similar to what you're proposing, by the way.
It's at the end of Calle Norte Trail, actually about 3/4 mile from the subject property.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big sign saying that it's coming fall of 2021. But I haven't seen any information about what it will have.
Okay.
So they are not building any single track trails around it. They're just building progressive jump lines and wooden features in there. Unfortunately, they didn't reach out to the community for any input on it. They just went and did it. And so myself, being part of Farmington area single track, have just went and looked at it. They haven't included anybody, like I said, but it looks like they're not building any single track. The project we just looked at is going to be far superior to it. Granted, it will be a nice addition to the area. But as far as I know, that's all they're building is just a little progressive drop lines and wooden jump features.
Yeah, we understood that there was an expanded trailhead going in that location. And then as far as a pump track, we did visit a pump track that's located on the southern end of town. I'm trying to bring up Google Earth to go through it now. And my colleague Chris and I did ride it, and it could use some improvements. We understand this is kind of one of the first facilities of its type, and but it's a great movement. And in the right direction of providing bike amenities, but it kind of the features that are provided in this plan would be different than that facility. They would be optimized for bikes. That track is kind of wide, like a BMX track, and then has loose gravel. It doesn't provide that kind of desired user experience. I see Brad agreeing with me. So there's lots of opportunities at that site. We don't want to discount the site and the potential there for a facility. It's next to a skate park, which is great. But I think that this project site, the Juniper Basin site, is also an excellent chance for like a beginner, kids-centric, family-centric kind of pump track facility.
And on that note, I'm going to jump in. One of the concerns that I have, and I know that a number of the other people in this area have, is along lines of what you're just saying, that the kid-centric, the family-oriented, it's all well and good. We have a ton of parks in the area with exactly the same types of amenities or leading up to the same types of amenities. And they are not being maintained, they are not being taken care of. And so what happens is it ends up, although I mountain bike, my kids mountain bike, we love the outdoors. My degree is in outdoor recreation. I love the outdoors. I love the single track trail idea. I love expanding the trails and enhancing outdoor recreation in the Farmington area. However, what it sounds like they're doing here is they're going to be putting in a lot of quote unquote park areas that have very, very easy access, very difficult to keep squatters out, very difficult to keep the lighting away. We have, the Night Sky Initiative, in effect, people up here purchased the properties years ago for that reason, opened up to BLM property. Now they're opening up BLM property to implement these very types of tracks. The one that I saw Kristen and Dave just talking about, they just started construction on that. And I know that Tim had mentioned that, or not Tim, Brad had mentioned that there was no consultation. And that's one of the challenges. And I feel like I'm stepping up. I'm representing a number of people that couldn't be on the call tonight that live in the area that this will be impacting directly. And the single track trails, the access is fantastic. We love that. However, we don't love the increased traffic, especially when the city is not going to add bike trail or bike lanes getting up there. We are not having, ease of access. I noticed somebody commented about, well, this is not an easy road to get down there. So if you build a bigger road to get down there, that's going to just create more people encroaching on our property. We already have a lot of that. There's absolutely no way to monitor and prevent the motorcyclists, ATVers, the razors, all that. They're literally cutting through the fencing that is currently in existence and driving all over, loud music 24 hours a day. Every night, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're thumping their bass and they're running up and down the road right there already. And as much as I love family-friendly activities, we really don't want the noise and all that without anything else going into it. And it sounds like you guys did a great job planning the trails themselves. However, there's been literally nothing involving the community to eliminate the challenges and the hazards and the problems that will arise. Emergency evacuation if somebody were to get hurt. It's very, very steep right there. So, and I know I just ran on, and I apologize for that, but this has been ongoing, and there are a lot of people in the area very frustrated, and we need to address those issues before we start building or doing anything, because it's not just a property owner's issue, it's a safety issue for the riders, for other people, and we need to find out a little bit more about how not just great we can build these trails or these bike parks. They've got bike parks all over the place now, and the trash is filthy. They're shutting the bathrooms down. The lighting is just out. It's ridiculous, and we need to focus on those before we go any further. And so there's my 2 cents. I'll step back for now and let other people get involved.
I'll take a shot at it here when I get a chance. The roads coming up here, has already been mentioned, are not safe. I am walking out here anywhere from 5 to 10 miles every morning. Sometimes I'm on the road, but most of the time I'm down here in what I call the valley down below. It's quiet, it's dark. That's what we bought this land for. We came up here, we built our house. We planned on retiring here in a nice, dark, quiet community. I like the idea of all the stuff coming into the area, but we have to keep it safe. I would also like to keep it dark. We do not need people coming out here because we got big overhead street lights. That issue came up once before. We fought it and we kept the city from putting them in. Thank you. But we wanted it dark. One of our neighbors left because there's too many lights already involved. He wanted to put in an observatory for his own personal use. Parties, we already have them out here. Sometimes I go out there and pick up trash because I got nothing else to do in the morning. Yes, I'm retired, which gives me that advantage. But I don't need to be picking up trash from all these party goers that are going to be here simply because we have restrooms. I'll back off. I got more to say, but I'll back off and let somebody else jump in.
Along both of those lines, this is Kristen again. I'm wondering about what your recommendations are to the city for night parking and lighting. Will there be access to the parking lot and to the trails at night?
Great question. Yeah, and I've just taken a note on some of the things that you all have mentioned. I do really appreciate you all bringing these to light and to attention, because these are very important management issues, of course, that do need to be taken into account at these beginning stages. So as far as the use of the site, we understand that it is meant to be a day use facility with no lighting provided and access controlled by gates. So there's already that vehicular gate kind of at that intersection of Foothills and Hood Mesa. So we're envisioning a similar type of gated access. So this is going to be gated at night. And so no one is going to be accessing this on a moto or on a quad. So we want this site to be a day use facility. And again, with providing no lighting at night, that's going to keep that feeling of that dark sky and keep that noise down, and it won't attract people to the site. So as far as we know, this is a day use facility.
Will the restrooms be locked at night also?
I'd probably leave that as a city for the question. A question for the city. But I imagine that they would be. To again keep that appeal down, and if that's an attractive nuisance, right, get that out of the way. And this is meant as a facility that we would hope, and the city would hope that it would be something that you all would enjoy, that you could get out in the morning, go for that walk, sit at the overlook, enjoy the view, take your dog out for a stroll, and not feel overcome by all these other people taking over the site. So want it to be something that allows you all to enjoy the space and then have access to the space. Again, I do really appreciate all the comments that you've brought here. I think with it being gated, that will help reduce that people coming in and not following the rules, and that'll keep the trash low. As far as maintenance, I heard maintenance come up as a concern. The features are meant to be low maintenance. Those prefabricated structures really don't need much, and when the trails are designed sustainably, they're not going to need much maintenance. But this park is going to need an operations and maintenance plan. So that spells out the emergency access. How do you get people out of the site? How do you signal where an accident occurs? When is maintenance scheduled? How do you record that maintenance? How do you perform these tasks? Those are all parts of that operations and maintenance plan that this bike park will need moving forward. So that addresses those maintenance concerns and the management of the park. Let's see.
Kristen and I are not anti-mountain bike. I started mountain biking in '83. She's been mountain biking for the last 30 years. We've ridden literally all over the world. We bought our house up here because of the trails, but it doesn't seem like there's anything in the plan to mitigate the impact of a new facility on the adjacent neighbors. There's no buffer zone left. There's no landscaping to try to do that. It's almost like you're saying, let's put a community pool in right next to your house. You're gonna parking lot and bathrooms and little kids facilities, and that's screaming and all the things that go along with that.
Mhm.
It seems like it's a big enough space that those kind of concerns could have been in the plan to give a buffer.
Yeah,
And all of the easy access areas for the beginners are right against all of the adjoining properties, rather than putting them elsewhere where people may not be as likely to trespass or encroach.
mhm. Yeah, let me see. I did want to show that we do have a buffer planned on the, I have too many screens open. We have a buffer planned on the north side of that family area. Let's see. So you can see this gray area here. It can be expanded upon, but we did notice that the vegetation was sparse and there was not a fence. So yeah, that would definitely be a spot where privacy would be a concern, and we want to definitely keep the separation there. And then as far as I feel like with the terrain of the site, it's lower, and so there's just kind of like natural ways to kind of hide the trails from view. And we did notice, we kept an eye on views from this home here and tried to kind of tuck features behind undulations, and so that they would be kind of hidden away.
That is our house.
Okay, very nice. Beautiful home. These are all beautiful homes. Yeah, so we were looking at that when we were out there, kind of how to kind of keep those views, kind of fit the features in the landscape to obscure those views.
Thank you.
Would you be able to add another buffer zone right there on that west side of the bike park amenities, the orange section right there?
Yeah.
You could maybe add another buffer zone there to help that situation?
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah, we did see kind of a utility access road going along that side, but I think that could be improved upon, and we could put a buffer there to definitely reduce that visual impact and serve as a noise barrier. So I think there are ways to mitigate that sound, and a lot of the features are very central to this orange area. So you do have I don't know the distance right now, but you do have a significant space between.
There is a road through the entire area, correct? Coming from the north, exiting the east?
Yeah, so on this map here, yeah, you've got.
Okay. My question is, will that road be fenced off on the north and on the east boundary?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll click through to that fencing exhibit again.
Because that is a pretty major road. That's just not some little old road. And the BLM has tried for the last 30 to 40 years to keep ATVs out of the bike trails, and they haven't succeeded by just putting up nothing as far as, signage. If that thing is open, can't the ATVs just come in on the road, then jump in on trails, which they tend to do? I mean, we're historically that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did see the evidence of motos and quads on the trails in the area. So we definitely want to keep this amenity so that it's accessible just by those on bikes and on foot. So
how is that going to be done?
So this exhibit does show a proposed fence around the site, and there would be access controlled by its swing gates. So the BLM can access that road here that comes into the north and then exits to the east.
So it's a gated closure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're proposing at this point, because
So that's a pretty major road. It's a major road over Flora Vista.
Yes, yeah, I mean, when we were there, we didn't observe, I mean, I don't think you saw anybody on that road. And we understand that it's used just to access the oil and gas sites.
So my property is right on that road where it curves through the two fenced areas up in the upper right area of the private property versus the proposed bike trail area. And I can tell you without any doubt that there are probably 100+ vehicles driving through that on any given day. And in that area, motorcyclists, everything like that. Even if you fence it with a simple gate, they will just throw their motorcycles under. They have, and cyclists, again, I'm a mountain biker as well, but they have ridden up the hill right there onto our properties, for the neighbors right there. Even with the little gates, like the one that you see that's green, currently the example swing gate, that's easy to get around with motorcycles, less so with ATVs and whatnot. But they go up and down the roads, or not the roads, but the hillside. They will go around it, but there is a lot of traffic going through there every day, every single day, and every night. And I've got video, I've watched it, I've got pictures. It happens more than I guess what you may be imagining. And closing those gates off it's gonna create a challenge for the oil and gas industry for that, because it is so heavily used. And then once they open up Navajo or Farmington Lake, rather, it's just going to increase.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be interesting to know kind of how often it is needed to be accessed by BLM or the oil and gas companies, and maybe there's a way to make it an automatic gate for them. And I mean, I think the gates will then restrict access to those unauthorized users who are not supposed to be using it. So, we're looking at, there's a lot of traffic now, but how much of it is authorized use and how much is not authorized use? But that's a great point, and that's a good question that we probably want to continue talking about and working on the specifics of how exactly this access works for everyone involved here, including our BLM neighbors.
All of us that ride have seen the damage that the four-wheelers do on the trails, and can't believe the places and the trees they run over to get their vehicles in there. And I realize that this isn't a city meeting, and that some of this is a city problem, and we're sorry that we're dumping on you a little bit. But the BLM, and I know this to be a fact, has been asked by the city, and the mayor in particular, to not enforce the laws against the razors and the four-wheelers, because he would like to see the involvement of those activities increase in the community.
Right, but is this the right place for that activity? Is it part of their management plan, right? I mean, yeah.
Right. My point is we can't rely on them enforcing the law to keep it out. So,
Exactly. They haven't stopped it yet. It continues to get worse ever since they put the signage that they have put up here. They've increased it. It has increased exponentially in the last 6 months to a year even. So it's very troubling.
So I think that maybe the solution is very strong gates, very strong fencing, more so than maybe in other areas, because I'm looking at this green gate and thinking they're going to cut that chain immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Sarah, they do it, man, it's horrible how they do it. They intentionally do it. It's a blatant disrespect. It's a huge problem. BLM only has 2 people to enforce the entire area here, and one of them is always found at the gun range just hanging out anyway. So enforcement in the area doesn't happen. And just like Kristen said, it has to be enforced like Fort Knox, because they intentionally try and seek out the single track mountain bike stuff to just ride over it. It's welcome to the wild, wild west. Welcome to the Four Corners, where if you don't have a moto, you don't count.
Mhm.
One of the things, Trail Solutions, Shauna's on the call right now, correct? And she's Director of Parks and Rec, and I'm sure she's listening and taking notes. But the city, this is one thing the city has got to look at, because all we're doing around here is building all new trails, 3 different pump tracks, and nobody's maintaining what we have. And instead of, maybe half as much trails protected and in good shape, we're building twice as many and not protecting any of them. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes in. You can go to Aztec, to a trail system, an Alien Run, and you don't get the abuse. Farmington, for some reason, has this unique quality to it. I don't know why. And trust me, we've thought and tried to figure it out. But I think the city really needs to be aware of the concerns of it. And I just wondered what Shauna's, if this is the proper time, but Shauna, I know, is on that call. So.
I am, Dennis. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. You know, guys, some of this is a little bit convoluted because some of the trails you all are referring to are not city trails.
No, but we were afraid the city trails will just become what the BLM trails look like. Trust me.
And
Well, I
adding
know that,
additional
you know,
access where they will just bring in that many more people from the city. I mean, this is several miles out of their way. It's not a city park. You guys are bringing more and more people up to an area where it is not historically, I mean, there's always been partying and whatnot, but you're bringing more up in a manner that is more accustomed to a busy, quote unquote, metropolitan area, a very busy area. And this is not that area, but you're not planning on anything to address the concerns, the monitoring or patrolling of the area, anything like that. And that's the concerns that we have. It's not that we dislike mountain bike trails. We love the outdoors. I can almost vouch for everybody on here. They love the outdoors. They love a lot of what's being proposed. Just the lack of communication and the lack of a plan to stop the excessive, you know, destruction, noise, pollution, etc. You know, it's a great plan, but we have to dig a little deeper to make sure that it's not a negative like some of the other park areas have become.
well, I know you guys, you guys are really, I think what you have to understand is that this is our beginning stages. I realize that you guys have valid concerns, but it may be a little unfair to say we don't have a plan because we do have a plan. We're doing our plan in stages, which is to get conceptual, but in terms of operationally, those things develop just like when you build a pool or when you build a golf course or when you create Lake Farmington and the beach. You've got to get an idea of what it's going to look like, what's going to be out there. And then you look at the flow of traffic, you look at the flow of entry. So we're all in the early stages, but we appreciate this feedback. That's what we can say right now.
But you're also doing it where you choose not to listen. You guys have been planning this for quite a while without input from this community, from this area. You guys have decided what you want to do, and you're going to do it regardless of what is presented to you. You have said to us, to me personally, we will do this, we will include you, we will do that. And then you do exactly opposite. And we hear that you guys, and we see what you put out on Facebook, that you are still going to do restrooms, that you are still going to do this, that, the other. And that is absolutely 100% contrary to what people have discussed. We have showed you, we have talked to you about different things of what needs to happen and how we can make this happen so it's amiable to everyone and a benefit to everyone, but it's not in your guys' original plan. And so it keeps getting skewed. And I apologize to get fired up, but I'm right here on it. And you guys are going to decrease my property value. You're going to increase the noise, the pollution. We already have people driving up here nonstop. And we have asked for years for something to be done. And we get told repeatedly, sure, we'll do something about it. And then you don't. And they say, you know what, we're going to throw this out there, but we have absolutely no plan on how to stop the negatives. But we want to focus on the positives. There are a lot of positives, but you can't just do the negatives. You have to focus on you can't just do the positives and ignore the negatives. And so I apologize for getting fired up again, but I just don't think I don't think you guys are really listening, and we're having continual challenges like that. I have a lot of people around here that are extremely upset. I'm upset because you guys put a little parking lot on what used to be a BLM property for parking. And now you guys are building a pump track or whatever it is you're over there, and nobody knew about it. You failed 100% to let anybody know.
No, that's
and that is not acceptable. And I see that happening here again.
That's BLM's issue. That wasn't the city at all. That's all BLM, unfortunately, and they don't talk to anybody. But that's all BLM doing that.
Except that the city was involved in getting that track over there because they got in their little kerfluffle with the landowners where the trailhead currently is, which with the increased signage, we went from a few vehicles to 20, 30 to 50 vehicles parked any given day, all the way up here, puking in our trash cans when they get off their ride, riding up and down our property, throwing trash out. There's no trash can there. There's no nothing there. The private trash cans that were donated by one of the local residents have been destroyed. I love mountain biking, but some of the stuff that has been done is a negative impact. We need to focus on all impacts.
Yeah, and thank you again. Yeah, thank you for all of that. I mean, those are great considerations that you to take into these parts, these early parts of planning. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on the plan when we do finish the call and put the survey up. And then also, I think this is kind of the city's first time embarking on a facility of this type, and it is going to take definitely management, planning for traffic. And so I think this is kind of that, and you know, the first time that the city is really leading this effort with bike facilities. And is doing it in a responsible way, coming up with the concept plan, gathering feedback and refining it.
Play park. Okay.
And it's really good to hear all your comments about the motorized use. You know, it was observed that the use occurring. We understand that introducing the gates may cause a negative impact elsewhere. If somebody comes to a gate, suddenly they don't have the thoroughfare that they're used to, that may cause them to trespass in other ways. So hearing the concern, it's a little higher concern than we were aware of. And it's definitely something that we need to look into and understand better. Where are people going? Where are they coming from? And the issues that you described. So we're certainly going to take a strong look at that. I would say that you know, that's the motorized use is definitely separate from the non-mechanized use that's being proposed on this property. And I would also like to point out that typically facilities like this, when they get developed in a quality manner with the facilities and with a management plan that's successful, which we understand there's been some letdown on some of the other parks. We'll certainly look at those other failures, as you say, and hopefully we can address a lot of these issues. And lastly, I would say that as you increase use, you have eyes on properties. If you have people out here using this property during the day, a motorized user is going to be very unlikely to cut a lock, to cut a fence and come blasting through the trail. People are going to report those people to the police, to the Parks and Rec, and these things will come to light.
But they're more likely to see what we have on our properties, where their access points are, and then come in later at night, as they have been doing. And then we end up with theft, we end up with vandalism, destruction. There's a vacant house literally right next door, and the property owners have no ambition to do anything different about it. And those are the things that are not being taken into account, unfortunately.
Those are great points, and certainly talking points and things that we're going to continue to think about and strategize to mitigate. Again, I truly believe it's the eyes on the property. You have eyes on every corner of this property throughout the day. Now, I can't state what happens after dark, and I don't know how this project would affect that negatively or positively. But in the daytime, eyes on parks. People using parks keep the riffraff out. It keeps the vagrants out. It keeps the drinking out. You know, it's an actively used park. It's a positive thing.
I will add, we have seen that down at the college park now, that we've got more people down there. There's people every day, every night down there. We finally have another section blocked off, and we have seen less. We've seen less people coming in with their razors since there is more humans using it during the daytime and in the evening time. But I completely get your feelings, Mr. Kellings. I get it. I completely understand having to do the same bike park down at the college. We see it, they disrespect it, but we are seeing less of it now that
it's
there's
not
more
so much
use
the
of it.
users that disrespect it, though. It's the people who come in, like you said, after hours. And what Tim was just talking about, you know, we can't control after hours. That's what we've been asking for up here. And we, like I said, we've got photos, we've got video, we've got everything of ATVs and people going through, trespassing, cutting locks, destroying property, consistently up here. And I mean, I don't know how many times I have personally called the police on it, and there's not a lot they can do because they get here after the fact. And if you just put more ease of access for them, like several people have talked about, just cutting a lock is easy, and they keep going through. The city has put berms, huge dirt mounds and rocks, and they've come in with equipment almost and like made it so they can get in very, very easily. So part of what I'm asking is not for us to not do a bike trail, but let's do a little bit less. Let's not turn this into a major park where they're going to bring people in. I mean, are they going to be advertising it? Are they going to be reserving it and having loud, boisterous parties? Are they going to have neon signs out there saying, come to this park? I don't know. I hope not, because that's not why we all moved out here so far away from this, downtown Farmington. Let's have some bike trails, but let's make it so that they cannot get in. Let's make it so that there are not bathrooms and lights interfering with everybody and I'll be rude right now. I'm sorry. This is, we paid a premium for property out here specifically so we didn't have the lights, the noise, and the city increasing all of that. I'm a pro recreation person. However, they have chosen to ignore that aspect of it, and they've said, no, we're not going to do anything with it. I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to city council, and they are not going to do anything for many years to come to accommodate the increased traffic usage, etc. That is what leads to it. I'm not saying the people that use it primarily are going to be bad. It's the ones that go after dark, after hours, and we need to find a way to address that.
I don't think that there's anyone up here, any property owner up here who has not had a problem with trespassing.
Yeah.
And the city doesn't, like you said, do anything to enforce non-street legal vehicles racing up and down the foothills, to enforce ATVs or quads on illegal trails. It just doesn't happen.
I was almost involved in an accident with somebody riding, I think it was one adult and 3 kids, motorbikes. I was coming up foothills and, I putt along. I'm old, I'm retired. And here they come racing across foothills from one street into a pile of dirt. Took the berm as a little jump play with 3 kids following them on motorbikes. We need more protection up here to protect the roads and to protect the kids that don't seem to know any better because the parents are leading them.
And provide the infrastructure with bike lanes, not just the bike trails out in the middle of nowhere, but the bike lanes on foothills. They have zero plans for this for many years to come. And that the increased traffic with people riding up is negative, or the increased parking, people driving up is going to increase traffic. And they can go spend $1 million on every roundabout that they put in, and everybody hates them. They have been absolutely no use. They've caused problems, many accidents, and they could be good if people know how to use them. But that's not what we need. We need bike lanes. We need, places, safe places for people to ride. Not let's cause problems. Let's go through all this neat stuff out here, but not be able to access it appropriately or provide security or safety for the riders or the people around.
There was a map that showed the lake and the blind curve at foothills. There you go. Just south of the project site, there is a curve right there. There's no shoulder. There's no bike lane. You can't see the oncoming traffic. Oncoming traffic crosses into the next lane. It's a very dangerous intersection for motorists, much less bicyclists.
Yeah, we did see users taking that route and noticed that as we were driving through. I think it's great to hear that there's an idea of putting in bike lanes. I mean, there's the bike lanes on Hood Mesa Trail with the signage that seems like it's really effective for those on bikes, and is doing a good job. So maybe there's something if within the right of way, if there's that opportunity, that would be great to put in some type of bike lanes and signage. And that kind of infrastructure will encourage the cyclists to come up there. And then we'll discourage those ATV and those motorized users just because they know they're going to have bicycles up in that area.
That
So I
does
think-
not discourage them in the slightest. We have actually there was a doctor a number of years ago that was attacked by motorcyclists on the same trail. The motorcyclists were not allowed on the trail, designated trail, and they still were attacked and beat almost to death. And this is not acceptable. This is what we face up here. And so that's what we're trying to avoid more of. We are drawing more and more of the ATV usage. And so Nate Duckett and I have known each other for many years, but when we had a recent meeting, he showed up in his Razor when we're discussing the challenges with the Razors causing all these problems, the people driving the Razors. Not everyone, but a lot of them are. And motorcycles and dirt bikes, they're coming up on our property, they're tearing up the hills. So it continues. And again, I keep driving this home. We need to, let's stop on developing all this if we don't have any plan whatsoever to address the issues leading up to it, to the parking, to all that. I'm a proponent of mountain bike trails. I am not a proponent of putting in more parks that they're not going to take care of, that we're going to have squatters and drug users and parties. I am not a proponent of the excess traffic, the stabbings, the shootings. All this does is provide one more spot further out with easy access to people's property that is a little bit more hidden from sight from downtown Farmington.
Yeah, a few of us have raised concerns about the restrooms because the city doesn't maintain its restrooms well. There's a restroom on Anasazi that overflows when it rains and puts the effluent on the trail, and we really don't want to see that up here. If the city's not going to maintain a restroom, then there's no point in having it. They ended up locking up the restroom and putting in a porta potty. So
She's talking about down at Lions at the far end of Anasazi.
And even just the excess parking, if we have a large parking area, we keep having more parking areas put in, and the ATVers, the off-roaders, you know, the motorcycle, they come park their trailers and then they tear everything up, get onto the road and peel out. They're racing up and down the road. So it is a challenge. It's a safety hazard too. And as far as like what Kristen and Dave were saying, they're also using the restroom. If there are no restrooms, they're just using them right there, and it's been visible. We can see it. It's been a problem, and we don't need that either. We don't need, you know, people's waste alongside where our kids go and walk and play.
I don't know if there's anything you can do or suggest about safe access from the roadway, but the other dangerous area is almost up at the existing trailhead. There's a blind hill. And if you're walking or biking, you can't be seen by the cars coming over the hill. And so if anything can be done to increase the visibility or the safety for pedestrians and bicyclists, that would be great.
And that's on the approach to the Kinsey Trailhead?
Yes.
I think I remember that hill. Yeah, okay.
And the other issue there at the Kinsey Trailhead is it's two-way traffic coming out of the parking lot. So if someone's coming, you know, going into the trail and someone's coming out, it is a spot that accidents do happen. And it would be great if that could be an entrance and an exit could be separated by even if it was just a few feet. So you wouldn't have that head on right there.
Right,
I
yeah.
had heard along the ways that that access point was actually going to be closed at some point because that's still somebody's private land that they just allow access through there. The only parking lot that's up there at that corner, the top of the corner foothills right there. I thought that BLM was going to build that new parking lot that they did over there where they're building the progressive bike park. I was told that that spot would be closed eventually once these other parking lots were developed.
It is supposed to, and unfortunately, after talking to many of the cyclists up there, those that have tried to park in that parking lot, there have been an increased number of vandalisms, vehicles broken into, thefts, because it's not, unfortunately, as much as I don't like it, right there at the corner, at least there's a little bit of traffic. People see what's going on and it stops some of that. But being up and kind of out and around, it's been a huge problem. And I know that there have been police out there. I know that there have been a lot of other issues out there. And I don't know how we address that issue, but that leads to my point. When you put it off the beaten path like that, just like what we're proposing now, it increased the vandalism and all of that. And so people keep going back to that original trailhead and utilizing it because it's safer.
Yeah, perhaps cameras could solve it, but the current situation is not good.
These are all great points. And I think the conversation has helped us understand kind of these larger issues that we, as not being residents, are not familiar with. So we do really appreciate all that you guys have mentioned. I think kind of moving forward, the goal would be to develop a very clear operations and management plan that does outline these concerns and addresses these issues for a trail system that is well maintained and restricts access only to those who are supposed to be using the site. Well, let's see, we're about, my time is 6:30, 38. I just want to see if there's any more questions or closing comments. Let me flip through to the last slide. When we close the presentation, you will see a link to a survey, and that's where we'd really like to get your thoughts. Oh, of course, I moved too quickly.
Well, you're gathering things together. One other quick thing that would be nice, include us more into these communications. That's the key with everything, communication. We don't hear anything, therefore rumors take over. We have no idea what's going on. Let's get some communication between all the locals and the city and the planners. Then we can know with real knowledge and not hearsay.
And if we could include the BLM, that'd be great too.
Yeah, if we could all just be more involved, then maybe, and I apologize again for getting fired up, but maybe we wouldn't all use this one point of contact to just unload everything that's been building up,
Yeah, I think there's some next steps for us to kind of understand the ATVs and their circulation, where they're going. And maybe there's an area, if this becomes the Juniper Basin Bike Park, where are those folks going to move to? Where can they go that they can get the experience they want? And they're going to be drawn to that area and not come to this area. So there's some things for us to look into and to reach out to BLM and understand the use of those roads.
And Tim was correct. If you put up something that they can just drive around, they will just drive around it. And if it means going over a tree, they knock the trees down.
And that's my question. So you said that they're proposed, I put it on here as well, for the fencing for the area. What kind of fencing are they proposing? If it's just a little wood post with a cable, or is it a couple of T-posts with some barbed wire? None of that works. So how do we become involved or engaged in making something that is more effective for everybody involved and safer for everybody involved, rather than just, something being planned and then other people being frustrated. I mean, is there something we can do to help? Just if there's any input you can guide us in that direction, would be greatly appreciative.
And one last thing before we go is, not this year, but last year, some of the ATVers were booby trapping Kinsey's trail, sticking T-posts towards the riders in bushes. I got a post on Facebook. Someone took a picture of it, and I immediately got on my bike and went out there and took it down. But if somebody had hit a sharpened T-post, it would have killed them. And so we don't want to start a war with these people. We'd like to keep it civil and don't want anyone to get hurt by this.
Yeah, it sounds like the
Shauna?
motorized issue is a much bigger concern than we were originally aware of, and something that we're definitely going to take a deeper dive on. Understanding that a barbed wire fence is probably not an adequate barrier. But again, I will say that I have seen it many places where you put people actively using it. And again, we're talking daytime hours. We can't control the night hours, and cameras were mentioned, but it really sounds like we need to understand this better moving forward.
Well, if you were down, go ahead.
Shauna, the thing that I think would be beneficial is I don't think Nate Duckett or the city council are really aware of how serious a problem ATVs are from, say, College Boulevard, Hood Mesa, and the north end of Foothills all combined. I used to think it was my wife and I that we were the only ones who heard them. After listening to Alan's, everybody else, Keeley's, Burgess, I'm just sitting here going, my Lord, what the heck have I been doing? I mean, we need to bring some of the people above you, if you don't have that authority, to the table to somehow get this in control so we can have a beautiful bike park. I mean, I am all for this, but it's got to be done with some type of, control. That's the only comment.
Sorry, Dennis, I appreciate that comment very much. Just to let you know that the Assistant City Manager, Julie Baird, has also been on this call the whole time. And we've all made good notes, so thank you very much.
Back to the fence thing, when you were here, Tim, if you'd been down to Lake Farmington, you'd see that they put in ballards and cables down there, and those are routinely cut. And it's hard to cut a 1-inch cable.
What kind of fence are they talking?
Understood. Battery operated angle grinders sort of change things.
Yeah.
I think our next step is just to kind of look at some case studies of where access management techniques have been effective. And again, this plan is conceptual. We haven't worked out the details of what the fencing exactly would be, what the types of gates would be. So this is with your valuable input. Now we know that, we need to really look into what that infrastructure is like. Well, if there aren't any more comments, I think we can adjourn. You guys can get on with your beautiful Friday evening plans. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Let me go back to that first slide with our contact information. So feel free to reach out to any of us. I imagine you have contacts with the city as well, but feel free to definitely keep in touch. Let us know your concerns as we move forward.
Someone named Julie Baird is having difficulty being heard. Maybe she's still muted.
Yes.
Oh.
Julie, can you put your email address or telephone number on the chat and we can at least include you in a community gathering?
Julie, I've just made you the co-host. I don't know if that improves your audio at all or access. No, nothing. Oh,
Could you type in your email or phone number, Julie? Hmm.
Does
If she
anyone know
types
her?
as fast as I do, it may take a few minutes.
Does anyone know Julie?
You
No,
know?
no.
Julie is the assistant city manager.
Oh,
Oh, then you know.
Oh, okay. Then we know how to get a hold of her.
Yep, and Shauna just shared her email address here.
okay. She's with the city, okay.
Let's see, we just have one more question come through. Is there a planned road to the bottom of the hill from the proposed parking area to the trails? So there are no new roads proposed on the site, just the natural surface trails.
So that current road would still be available for me. That's one of the roads I use to walk to the lake.
Oh, yes, yeah, the roads are not being adjusted at all in the plan. They will stay as they are, and there is proposed pedestrian access that will be allowed through those pedestrian gates or those chicane style gates. So there's definitely free flow of bike and pedestrian access.
But that being a road is also available to these 4x4s or quads or side-by-sides, whichever.
Let me go back to the plan. Let's bring up the roads.
Which incidentally, I do have a side-by-side, but I'm always trying to make the thing quieter because my wife and I like to go out to the lake once in a while and have lunch.
Let's see.
Mhm. Road actually goes down that way.
Yeah, so with the trails, they do cross the roads, but the road crossings are meant to be minimal.
Road here. From the parking lot down.
Mhm.
Whoops. But we again will look at the ATV circulation on the BLM lands and just to make sure that they have another route to take, so they're not going through this bike park. Yeah, and then with Mr. Keeling's question about EMS access, a lot of times trail networks will have signs with information on how to get in touch with emergency contacts and where their location is. So they have pinpointed locations with GPS data that has been shared with EMS, so they know if the person's at spot 12, they have those exact GPS coordinates and they can get into the site. And then, yeah, there'd have to be, the gate would definitely have to be programmed so that access is granted to those responders.
Has my audio improved any?
Oh, you're on.
Hear you.
Excellent. Nice job.
Okay, I logged out, logged back in a couple of times. So my name's Julie Baird. I'm the Assistant City Manager. I have been listening through this entire thing, and there's obviously a number of issues, all very valid, that you all have brought up. We will plan for some additional meetings and include other city staff, other departments included. I think the focus for this really was kind of just the general idea of the plan for that park. Certainly, as Shauna had mentioned, we will get into some of the operational plans and parts of it. I love the suggestions related to the fencing, the traffic, the berms. In terms of the emergency access, we actually recently added to our plans for state request for a special motorized vehicle that carries stretchers for our fire department, so that they can actually get out on these trails and take someone who has been injured and bring them back. So it isn't something that we haven't completely forgotten about. It is something that we are addressing as we begin to expand all of these. That wouldn't be just used at this park, it would be throughout the BLM trails. I mean, as we get a number of people coming and using our trails, we recognize that we want them to be here, but we want them to be safe. So we certainly are beginning to address those. From a police standpoint, absolutely, we know that there has been increased activity in that area. What many of you may not be aware of is the City of Farmington's police departments has received a number of grants for a real-time crime center that includes cameras that are monitored 24/7. And that will actually allow us to have additional eyes on many of our park facilities, not just this one, but the trails down at the river and some of our other well-used facilities. So I do want to go ahead and wrap this up, say that we have heard these things. I apologize, was trying to get on there for like 20 minutes to jump in, so I didn't realize that no one could hear me. I apologize for that. We have been taking these notes. Certainly, Imba has been helping us put this together. We need to go back and do a little bit more look at some of the aspects that you've brought up. And I think in the steps, there was listed where we would be coming back with updates. And so we will certainly have another meeting with you all before we come back to you with those updates, so that we can get some additional input. I do appreciate those that understand the difference between the city and the BLM. We try our best to partner with them. We try our best to work with them. And, you know, I think someone had mentioned they only have 2 people in enforcement. I will tell you, absolutely heard your comments related to the bathrooms. My gosh, we have been so frustrated ourselves with that. I'll be honest with you, that is an absolute result of where we stand with the COVID pandemic. We just cannot get staff. We cannot get the full staffing that the city has every summer at this time due to the hiring situations. And you hear it across the nation. People are having problems finding people to come to work. So we have been having to address these as best we can, and that included having to contract out for those porta potties that you see at the parks. We hate it. That's not our standard. That's not what we like. That's not what we have built the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs reputation on. And so absolutely, we see all the problems in our parks. We see what it takes for us to try and maintain at least the assets, so that when we get through these lean hiring times, at least the asset is still there that we can bring back. Thank you all. I hope, Sarah, that there was a way that we captured the names of all the participants. Obviously we will send out to the larger list as well that we even did for the notification for this. Thank you all. And I think the survey will be available, right?
Yes, yeah. When we conclude the talk, you'll see a link that takes you to the message, to the survey. And then this recording will be processed right after this call and made available to you all probably in the next couple of days. So I am quickly jotting down everyone's name. I think I got everybody. Let's see. Lee and Jenny. Let's see. I can't see a last name, but let's see. Yeah, I think we got everybody. Yeah, and thank you all for your engagement and all of your feedback. I mean, definitely the conversation did bring a lot of things to light that will help the future planning process. So thanks to you all.
Natalie and Lee and Jenny, could you type your phone number or email address into the chat so I can get that also, or some way to get a hold of you? Thank you.
Any other comments or closing thoughts?
Communication is number one.
Critical.
Businesses will not succeed without it. Don't believe it? Check our government for the last 20 years.
Communication is key, yes. Well, fantastic. Well, we hope you all a wonderful weekend. Again, thank you for participating, and we do look forward to touching base with you all in the future. Take care.
Everyone.
See ya.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.